What do you assess a post-Assad Syria and a post-Hezbollah Lebanon would mean for the region in its entirety?
Senator, first, I enjoyed our conversation yesterday. When I think first of Syria, I think that stability in Syria can translate into security in the United States. And here's how those dots connect. ISIS thrives in chaos. If the government of Syria, now 7 months into their existence, can help suppress that ISIS threat, along with the U.S. forces in the region, that stability helps create our own security. I'm optimistic for the future, although they're at the beginnings of this new government. I think we've now seen several steps, including Ambassador Tom Barrack, who's the U.S. ambassador to Turkey, being appointed as a Syria envoy. He's made several trips. Everything we do in Syria will be diplomatically led, and I think we're heading in a good direction in that regard. Senator, I think it's first and foremost important to remember what our forces are doing in Iraq and Syria, and that's focusing on the counter threat, the defeat ISIS operation with 20 other countries.
And that was going to be my next question. That's, in addition to the Iran militias, ISIS, there's a deep concern about ISIS reconstituting in Syria, given the changes there. So the point is, it's not, I believe, it's not a time to be retrenching, given the developments of just the last several months.
So I completely agree. I think stability is a critical aspect of security in the region, and particularly those countries. Our approach today is to assess and move forward on a conditions-based assessment. I think given the dynamic nature of what's happening today, that assessment in the future could look different than it does today, perhaps. And if confirmed, I'm committed into my tenure to continue to assess on what our posture needs to look like and make recommendations accordingly.
Well, the other topic that we haven't discussed today is Syria, and Syria is in a very I almost said precarious, but it's in an important place. Everyone we talked to said Shura is what we've got, and that there's really no plan B. And Ambassador Barrack has done a good job, I think, of being the envoy. But it seems to me that Syria is a place that we need to watch, because if he goes away, then all of a sudden it's open season for ISIS and other potential terrorist groups.
Senator, I completely agree. I think the stability in Syria hinges upon the current leader remaining in place, and that's important for U.S. Homeland Defense and Homeland Defense forward. As you described, Ambassador Barrack is leading this effort diplomatically. The U.S. military has had a nascent role, but certainly our role would be to provide best military advice on what that could look like going forward. For sure, right now, our troops in Syria remain focused on the counter-ISIS mission. It is also the perspective of the new Syrian government to counter ISIS. So we'll see what that looks like in the future, but I think it's an encouraging sign.
Senator Cotton said something that is very true and that picks up, Admiral Cooper, on something you said. You said that Iran was the chief sponsor of terrorism in the region, and they are, and the chief source of instability in the region, and they are. And Senator Cotton said they have posed risk to Americans for the last 46 years, and they have. Everything that he said was true, and everything that you said was true. But, you know, in law, we used to say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Sometimes we omit the whole truth. Because, and I think if we're going to grapple with hopefully diplomatic resolutions to these issues, we got to be completely truthful. Everything that you said about Iran was accurate. But what nobody seems ever to say in a committee like this is that the United States acted to change the Iranian regime in 1953 by knocking off a democratically chosen prime minister at the behest of the British, whose oil interests were at stake. This is widely acknowledged and admitted. Anybody wants to research Operation Ajax, go take a look at it. Eisenhower project that knocked off the Iranian civilian democratically elected government. After that happened, the U.S. helped install a dictator, the Shah of Iran. We trained the secret police of Iran, and that dictator brutally ruled Iran for about 25 years. And Iran, which had been very pro-American because America fought for Iranian sovereignty at the end of the World War II when the Soviet Union wanted to gobble it up, that 25 years of the U.S. propping up a dictator over Iranians led to deep anti-American hostility. When the Shah was thrown out of office, the U.S. gave the Shah refuge The Iranians asked for him back to trial, and we refused. The Iranians took over the embassy and held American hostage, a violation of international law. In subsequent years, the United States military shot down an Iranian passenger. The USS Vincent shot down a passenger jet in the 1980s, killed 290 Iranian civilians. That was on us, not on them. The U.S. gave weapons to Iraq when Saddam Hussein invaded Iran, a huge war in the region that cost 300,000 Iranian lives. And the U.S. provided weapons for Iraq to help them kill Iranians. We invaded a next-door neighbor to the east, Afghanistan, to topple a regime. We invaded a next-door neighbor to the west, Iraq, to topple a regime. We took a diplomatic deal with Iran, the first in 70 years that was actually working according to the IAEA and President Trump's first National Security Cabinet, and we tore it up. If we're going to try to find a diplomatic resolution, we not only have to acknowledge the Iranian terror that you truthfully recognize, but we also have to recognize that in a diplomatic solution, they have some points of concern as well. And if we don't deal with all of them, we won't find the diplomatic resolution that we would want rather than war. Thank you.
So I'll start with you. Senator King had mentioned ISIS, and I want to go a little bit further on that because we still see them as a big threat to those Americans and others that serve and live in the Middle East. Just last week, we saw ISIS extremists bomb a church in Damascus. So we know that they're still operating. It's a clear indication that that threat requires continued vigilance. So given the current volatility across the region, just in your estimation, looking at the resurgence of ISIS, other terrorist organizations, what indicators are you watching most closely when it comes to those terrorist groups?
Senator, first, thank you for your time yesterday, and thank you for the question. Defending the homeland broadly and defending it forward is of critical importance to us. Specifically, that translates into keeping our thumb on ISIS, which predominantly today exists in three places. ISIS in Syria, to a lesser degree ISIS in Iraq, and then ISIS-K, also known as ISIS Khorasan, on the Afghan-Pakistan border. We are focused on these problems that every single day. I only have to go back a few months to the events in New Orleans and our own country at the beginning of the year, the events as you described in the church bombing to show that ISIS remains a threat. And as we look to the future, and if confirmed, I will remain nose down on this threat. It is an absolute priority.
And our American military men and women provide great stability, whether it's in Syria, Iraq, other places. We have 1,800 Iowa Army National Guardsmen that were just mobilized to go into Iraq and Syria. They will have boots on the ground very soon to continue with those stability operations. As we look at other ways that we might be able to bring troops home, again, maybe not realistic at this time. If you could walk us through our partners in the region, and would they be able to fully absorb those missions and provide for the stability without American presence?
Senator, U.S. presence is indispensable in the execution of the counter-ISIS mission today. We have led it. We lead it today, and I anticipate we'll lead it into the future. Every decision made on force posture is going to be conditions-based as I look to the future, and if confirmed, I will absolutely adhere to that. We are fortunate to have in the Defeat ISIS coalition more than 20 countries contributing, but America is leading it.
Admiral, it's really disheartening for all of us to see the state of Afghanistan, especially after the Biden-Harris administration's disastrous withdrawal and the abandonment of so many Afghans to return to Taliban rule. So my concern in the region is the return of terrorist networks like ISIS Khorasan to the country, but also to the broader region. So Admiral, if confirmed, what will you do and how will you work with regional partners to deny extremist groups safe haven in South Asia?
Senator, ISIS Khorasan, also known as ISIS-K, operates principally on the Afghan-Pak border. The mechanism we use to address this issue today is through a mill-to-mill relationship with Pakistan, specifically focused on counterterrorism. We've seen the benefit of this relationship in the last couple of months with the handover of the Abbey Gate mastermind to U.S. authorities several months ago. and if confirmed, I would continue to invest in this mill-to-mill counterterrorism relationship with Pakistan. It's good for America, and it helps keep America safe.